Title: I thought I could handle dating a single mom, until her son and she broke me. Chapter 1. Weekends became dread. I was 28 when I met her. She was beautiful, kind, and had this warmth about her that pulled me in fast. We met at a small coffee shop on a rainy Friday afternoon, and by Sunday night, we were already planning our next date. She told me early on that she was a single mother. Her son was 7. I won't lie, it gave me pause. But love, or what I thought was love, made me brave. I told myself I could handle it, that I'd rise to the occasion. For the first year, everything felt new and hopeful. The drives were long, an hour each way, but I didn't mind. We only saw each other on weekends, but I looked forward to them like a teenager counting down to prom night. Her son was always with his dad on Saturdays, so our time felt precious, uninterrupted. I thought I was building something real. Eventually, I met her son. I was polite, playful even. I sat through hours of Minecraft talk, helped with school projects, took him out for burgers. On paper, I was doing all the right things. But inside, something didn't feel right. Not wrong, just heavy. Like I was trying to wear a jacket that didn't quite fit. Then things started to change. Her ex, the boy's father, started flaking on his weekends. Suddenly, our Saturdays became full of noise, responsibility, and this growing sense of obligation. The quiet dinners became chaotic fast food nights. The intimate mornings turned into early wake-ups and tantrums over screen time. And slowly I felt myself disappearing. The part that hurt the most? No one seemed to notice. Every time I brought up how I was feeling, it turned into a fight. I wasn't trying to be selfish. I just needed a little time for myself. One weekend a month, maybe. But it always spiraled into accusations, tears, and silence. It didn't matter how carefully I spoke. I was always made to feel like I was failing her. Failing them. And the truth? I didn't hate her son. I just didn't sign up to feel like a stranger in my own life. I kept telling myself it would get better. That this was just a phase. But after 2 years, the only thing that changed was me. I was tired. There were no more date nights, no more affection, not even a kiss on the cheek when I arrived. The woman I fell for started to fade into the background, and all I was left with was the weight. Now, weekends don't bring me joy. They bring dread. And it finally hit me. I was looking forward to Monday. Chapter 2. Losing myself in her life. I used to look forward to her texts. The way she'd say, "I can't wait to see you this weekend," made me feel wanted. Now, I read her messages with a sense of duty, not excitement. Just a quiet resignation, like checking off a task on a list I didn't sign up for. The drives began to feel longer. My playlist didn't help. The podcast couldn't distract me. I'd sit in traffic, thinking about how little of myself I had left. I gave up my weekends, my peace, my space. Even my sleep. Her son never slept through the night, and the walls were paper-thin in her one-bedroom apartment. I started hiding in the bathroom just to scroll my phone without someone tugging on my arm. And intimacy? That vanished months ago. I kept telling myself she was just tired. That parenting was exhausting. That she was stressed. But the truth was, even when her son wasn't home, there was no spark. We'd have the whole place to ourselves, and I'd suggest something, anything. A dinner, a movie, just a moment of closeness. She always had a reason to say no. I tried to be patient. I really did. But one night, I found myself sitting on the edge of her bathtub, fully dressed, lights off, scrolling mindlessly, just to feel like I was alone. And in that silence, I realized, I wasn't just losing my weekends. I was losing me. I became this background character in her life. A stand-in dad without authority. A boyfriend without a relationship. A man who traded his peace for a piece of someone else's chaos, hoping that love would be enough to carry us through. And maybe that would have been okay, if she ever met me halfway. But every time I opened up, she got defensive. Like my needs were an attack on hers. Like asking for space meant I didn't love her. I offered therapy. I offered compromise. I begged for just one weekend alone, just once a month. But her answer? All or nothing. So I started asking myself, what if I choose nothing? Chapter 3. The breakup she never saw coming. It wasn't some dramatic fight that pushed me over the edge. It was a Tuesday morning. I was sitting in my car before work, engine off, just staring at the steering wheel. My chest felt tight, like I was carrying bricks inside. I thought about the weekend before, how I had to cancel dinner with friends again. How I sat through another argument after I asked for just one Saturday alone. How she looked at me like I was abandoning them, when I was barely hanging on myself. I loved her. God, I did. But loving her had started to feel like drowning while trying to hold someone else above water. So that night I called her. My voice was steady, but my heart was wrecked. I need to talk, I said. There was a pause. Then she sighed. Okay, what now? I'm not okay, I told her. I haven't been for a while. And I don't think I can do this anymore. Silence. I could hear her breathing. And then she snapped, so you're just leaving? After everything? After I let you into my son's life? I stayed calm. I told her I still cared about her deeply, but I was falling apart. I told her I felt invisible. That I was carrying responsibilities I never agreed to, without affection, without support, without rest. I offered therapy again. I even said I'd pay for all of it. But she shook her head like it was a trap. I don't need more therapy. I need a partner who doesn't bail when things get hard. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I realized she didn't see what I was giving up every day to keep us together. And then she said it again. It's all or nothing. So I chose. I said, then it has to be nothing. She didn't speak. Just cried. Loud, ugly sobs that made me want to take it all back. But I didn't. I hung up the phone, and for the first time in 2 years, I felt something I hadn't felt in ages. Stillness. Until the next morning, when she texted me to come pick up the things I left at her apartment. Chapter 4, The Letters and the Goodbye That Broke Me. I thought about not going. I had told her she could throw my things out. I didn't care anymore. A couple of shirts, a toothbrush, a few chargers. Nothing worth the pain of seeing her again. But then she texted, please? Just come get them. I don't want to look at your stuff anymore either. And then she said, this will be the last time we see each other. Let's say goodbye properly. So I went. I knocked softly. No answer. The door was already unlocked. I stepped in and saw a pile of my things neatly stacked by the door, like a ghost of who I used to be there. I started packing them into a duffel bag. Trip after trip to my car. No sign of her. But on the final trip back inside, I saw her. She was sitting on the kitchen floor, knees pulled up to her chest, her face red and wet with tears. I froze in the doorway. My throat tightened. I sat down beside her. Neither of us said anything for a while. Just silence. That kind of silence that says everything words can't. After a few minutes, she shifted away from me. Just a few inches. But I felt it like a shove. I should probably go, I whispered. She nodded, eyes still glued to the floor. I stood up, took one last look at her, and before I walked out, I said, I just wish you didn't think I was a horrible person. That broke whatever was holding her together. She started yelling, not screaming, just loud enough to make it clear she was unraveling. About how she gave me everything, how I never really loved her, how I didn't try hard enough. And maybe she was right about some of it. But I couldn't take it. Not the guilt. Not the noise. Not again. I turned and left. As I walked down the hallway of her building, I could still hear her crying, loud, heavy sobs bouncing off the walls behind me. I don't think I'll ever forget that sound. Then she called. 15 minutes into my drive, she begged me to come back. To talk. To explain. To listen. I told her no. I told her I was sorry. And I hung up. For the first time, I hung up on her. She had done it to me more times than I could count, but still, it felt like a knife. The second I did it, she blew up my phone, calls, messages over and over again. I couldn't breathe. So I turned the phone off. For a whole day. Chapter 5. Choosing peace over pain. When I turned my phone back on, I was hit with a flood of missed calls and texts. But the silence of that one day, it was the calmest I had felt in months. 2 emails stood out. One arrived late at night. The other early the next morning. I didn't open them at first. I wasn't ready. I was scared, honestly. Scared I'd read something that would drag me back. That would make me forget all the nights I spent questioning if I mattered. All the times I walked on eggshells just to avoid another argument. But curiosity won. I opened the first letter. It was beautiful. Painfully so. She apologized for everything. For taking me for granted. For shutting down. For not giving when I asked, not listening when I begged. She said she still loved me. Said she understood why I left. Said she'd always carry me in her heart. I cried reading it. Not because it made me regret leaving, but because it reminded me why I loved her to begin with. Then I opened the second one. 12 hours later, everything changed. The warmth was gone. It was sharp, defensive. She listed everything I did wrong. That I was weak. That I bailed. That I couldn't handle real life. That I never really loved her if I could walk away. It stung. But strangely it helped. That second letter brought me back to reality. To the pattern I'd lived in for 2 years. Where tenderness turned to tension the moment I asked for anything back. She started calling from unknown numbers. Even her work phone. I didn't pick up. I googled the number, blocked it, and sat alone with the silence again. It still hurts. There are moments I want to hear her voice. Moments I wonder if I made a mistake. But then I remember the version of me that used to sit on her bathroom floor, fully clothed, lights off, just trying to feel alone. And I remind myself, that version of me deserves better. I loved her. I still do, in a way. But love without rest, without respect, without reciprocity, it's not love that heals. It's love that drains. So I'm choosing peace. Even if it comes wrapped in grief. Even if it makes me feel like the villain in her story. Because for the first time in a long time, I can breathe again.